Hello all. Uh, Today in Christianity Simplified, we're going to talk about a new topic. Was Jesus Christ really crucified? Um, I'm going to discuss this and reply back from a Christian perspective, but I'm going also to reference other non-Christian resources. From a Christian point of view, if let's say we assume that Christianity is a fabricated religion and it's not real, they should discuss and mention details which will be sold well to the public. But you found that the Christians are talking about the crucified Jesus. And if you review the history of crucifixion, especially during the Romans' time, crucifixion was for the petty criminals, especially the ones which they don't have a Roman citizenship, because it was a way of humiliating these criminals. So just imagine with me nailing someone to a cross or a beam, and that person cannot wander off, they cannot cause any troubles, they will just die slowly, and their whole body be left to rot, and they don't have the right to be having a proper burial. If we review also the history, we'll find that Christians were mocked because people were saying to them, how come you believe in a God or in a man who was crucified and you worship him? But in the contrary, we see that Christians are usually proud of the cross, and they put it in their homes, in their churches, and it's a sign of strength. And in real life, the cross does a lot of miracles and a lot of times, and it can also cast away demons. So it seems that for Christian, the cross means something completely different than our own idea about it. Again, if we want to prove that the crucifixion is a reality, if we review history, the history itself, which is non-Christian based, it states that Helena, the mother of the Roman king Constantine the Great, she recovered the true cross in Jerusalem when she traveled to the Holy Land in the years from 326 to 328 AD. Okay, some people say, so the Christian believe that Jesus Christ, the Messiah, was crucified. Is this backed by any kind of Jewish prophecies in the Old Testament? Yes. In Isaiah book, chapter 53, verses 3 to 5, it reads, "He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. And we hid our faces from him. He was despised and we didn't esteem him. Surely he took our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we consider him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and with his stripes we were healed." So that's a prophecy about the Messiah. What about the New Testament and St. Paul letters? In his letters to the Galatians, chapter 3, verse 13, it reads, "Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it's written, cursed is everyone that hangs on a tree." On a tree means a wood, or it refers to the cross. So simply stating that Jesus took over our curse on himself, and he saved us on the cross. Okay, that's all from a Christian perspective. Is this backed up by non-Christian resources? Yes. If we read or we refer to the Talmud, which is the written version of the Jewish oral law, and there is two main Talmud, the Jerusalem one, which was written around the 2nd century, and the Babylonian Talmud, which was collected in the 5th century. The Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud states that on the eve of Passover, they hanged Jesus the Nazarene, or the Nazareth, which was the name for Jesus because he was from Nazareth. Okay, that's the Talmud, and that's the Jewish people confessing that they actually crucified or hanged Christ. And even if you expand on that and you read more of the book, they said that it was Jesus deserved that because he was claiming that he's God. He was making the people go astray, and he was comparing himself to God, so he deserved this punishment. Okay, what about the historians? I will mention 3 of them. First one is Josephus. He's a Jewish historian from the 1st century. He wrote in his books that about this time there lived Jesus. And he continued mentioning a few things. Then he ended with when Pilate condemned him to be crucified. So he's stating here, and he's of Jewish background, that Pilate, the Roman ruler, ruled that Jesus would be crucified. Okay, the second writer or historian was Lucian of Samosata. He's a Greek writer in the 2nd century, and he wrote in his books the following. The Christians worshipped a man to this day, the distinguished personnel who introduced their novel rites and was crucified on that account. So he's stating pretty much that the Christians were brainwashed by Jesus, who told them a new way of living, and that's why he was punished by crucifixion based on that claim and the brainwash he did to the Christians. Okay, the third historian is Tacitus, and he's a Roman historian and senator. He wrote in his books, book 15, chapter 44, and he wrote that in 116 AD, the following. He was talking about the Great Fire of Rome, and he referred, when he was mentioning that event, about the Christians and Jesus' execution by Pontius Pilate. So from there we can conclude that Christians and their Gospels, the 4 Gospels, stated the crucifixions. The Christian who's supposed to hide something like the crucifixion, they are very proud of it, and it's still the cross do miracles through them. And the Talmud, which is the Jewish religious book, is stating that fact. And then the historians, whether they are of Jewish background or a Greek or Roman background, is stating the same thing, that Jesus was crucified. And that's the history. I hope you found that information useful, and I hope to see you again in another episode, God willing. Thank you so much. Bye.